Alright, now, we've used the GPS and we're out in the forest, and I'm here hunting the six-tailed Bigfoot. I've got my rare zombie with me, and we're closing in on them. Come on, let's go take a look. Alright, so we've heard his noises, so we're closing in on him. I think he's over this way. I don't want to get too close. I'm going to get some rare zombie on him. Gotcha, big fella. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. GL-1 here, and hiding in the dark caverns of the GL-1 mansion is a replica of the one and only Bigfoot. Now, I have an ancient parchment over here that dates back a good 29 years that explains the history of Bigfoot. Gives you some background. But before I get to that, I want to go through some of the finer details of this replica of Bigfoot. I mean, as you can see, he's hairy mostly all over, except for his chest and his hands. And you can see his hands are very large. His feet, not too hairy because, of course, if they got caked with mud, it would make it hard to walk. And you could see the broad nose and, the stooped posture. And the thick forearms and longer, it seems like longer arms. I don't know. They seem a little bit like human proportions. And you can see he's got great abs. I mean, he's got a four-pack there, so pretty good. Well, how can we compare the morphology of Bigfoot? Well, let's do that. Some people have suggested that perhaps Bigfoot is a gorilla. Well, I happen to have a gorilla right here. I mean, here is a silverback gorilla. And you'll notice, first of all, that the Bigfoot's posture is quadrupedal. They don't walk on two legs often. I mean, you can see the silver hair in the back, and that's it because it's a silverback gorilla. So right there, I think you can tell this is not a Bigfoot. I mean, it does have a broad nose, and it is hairy mostly all over, but it's clearly not Bigfoot. I mean, Bigfoot is bipedal, and I think the body proportions you can easily see are different. Well, some people have suggested that maybe Bigfoot is some kind of hybrid of sorts, and I have an anamorph here to show you. Like, here's one of the anamorphs. Now, it's very similar to the Bigfoot. I mean, you see hair all over its body, except its feet, hands, and chest, and has well-developed muscles in its abdomen. And, perhaps it is some sort of crossbreed or in-between version. And well, we can kind of demonstrate that here by rotating this anamorph here, and we can look at some of the various versions that this being is, and see if now see here, this is kind of halfway, you could see, between a gorilla and some sort of hominid, like a humanoid, and that does look a little bit like Bigfoot. I mean, it has the broad nose, and the piercing eyes, and so there's that, and of course maybe if it evolved further, it would evolve into this fella here, and then you can put that together, and then you have, there you go, you have Marco, the anamorph, and then the hands come off, and then you have the more of a humanoid looking character. But I still don't think that is going to cover things. I don't think that he's some sort of anamorph. So there's different interpretations of what a gorilla could look like. I mean, here's a 1995 King Kong looking gorilla, and you could see that some of the proportions are similar to the Bigfoot, but not quite there. And then moving along to some of the more recent King Kong versions, you have King Kong versus Godzilla. You have that version, and even the coloring is similar, certainly, and but it in the proportion. So, but the feet are very different. You see, it wouldn't leave those big feet, those footprints that we've seen, those castings that look like gigantic bipedal feet, and these are a lot more like a gorilla's. And even if you take King Kong and you give him all kinds of weapons that flip out, like the mech King Kong here, he still ends up with those gorilla-like feet. So I still, though it's similar, it's still not Bigfoot. Now, perhaps maybe one of the other versions of King Kong, maybe back like the 1920s King Kong, maybe something, or 30s actually, this King Kong, but and you can see the toes are getting closer together, but still not going to make that kind of footprint that we're used to seeing. Well, maybe a different version, maybe something more like this is more like Bigfoot, but then again, we keep failing on the feet. It's still, it's not Bigfoot's feet. Well, some people suggest that maybe Bigfoot is kind of a primitive humanoid, like a Neanderthal. Well, it just so happens that back in the 90s, McFarlane Toys made a Neanderthal action figure, and you can see he's furry, but he's mainly because he's wearing furs. And I think that you can see the nose is different, and the face, and I don't think the feet are absolutely gigantic in proportion to the rest of him. They look more just like normal feet. So I don't think you can point to a Neanderthal and think, and they're not even that tall. And Bigfoot is supposed to be like 8 feet tall. So I don't think a Neanderthal. Now, some people have thought, well, maybe it's just a big guy in a suit. I mean, after all, here's Andre the Giant. And Andre the Giant, why, he was at his tallest at one point. He was 7'4" before gravity started to pull him down a little bit. But 7'4", and then he happened to be in the $1 Million Man TV show and played Bigfoot in one of the episodes. And as you can see, Andre the Giant, as Bigfoot, looks a lot like Bigfoot, doesn't he? So is it a guy in a suit, right? Well, Andre the Giant's feet were certainly very large, but were they as disproportionately large as a Bigfoot? So let's read about Bigfoot. Let's see what it says and learn the history of our friend, Bigfoot. All right, so back in 1994, Mrs. GL-1 got me this Bigfoot here that arrived with this ancient parchment. So I'm going to read to you this parchment, and we're going to learn about Bigfoot together. So for over 2 centuries, there have been thousands of people who claim to have seen a giant, hairy beast lurking in the forests of North America. All 50 states and all 10 Canadian provinces have reported sightings or found footprints of this mysterious animal. Over the decades, these claims have been the root of many legends. In the dense forests of the Pacific Northwest, where the animal is most commonly reported, the myth has been immortalized and virtually brought to life as the legend of Bigfoot. The oldest written account of Bigfoot on record occurred in 986 AD by Leif Erikson and his fellow Norse adventurers. During their first landing in North America, the Norsemen wrote about monsters that were horribly ugly, hairy, and surely with great black eyes. But the legend existed in North America long before the white man arrived. The Indian tribes, Native Americans, of British Columbia had many names for this monster of the forest, such as hairy ghost or Injun devil. The most common name for this Indian myth was Sasquatch, or hairy giant of the woods. Thought to have migrated to the Pacific Northwest across the Bering Strait land bridge, which once connected Alaska to Asia, this mythical creature has been described as brown, hairy, and human-like in appearance. Nearly 8 feet tall, it can weigh up to 1,000 pounds. Taking great strides, it walks up with footprints to 24 inches long, 8 inches wide, and sometimes as deep as 2 inches. It has a high-pitched whistling scream and is believed to give off a terrible odor. It possesses excellent night vision and the ability to swim. Despite the many sightings which have occurred and the numerous footprint samples which have been taken, the mystery remains. Is Bigfoot real or a hoax? Most reported sightings recorded from the very different locations at different times essentially describe the same creature. This type of consistency makes the existence of Bigfoot much more believable. In October 1967, Roger Patterson was able to take a 16mm color movie film of the creature in Bluff Creek, California. 24 feet of film show the creature walking through a clearing in the woods, turning back once to look towards the camera. Despite conflicting opinions, the film is considered by most believers to be the best visual evidence of Bigfoot ever recorded. The most frequently discovered and examined physical evidence of Bigfoot have been footprints. Many of these discoveries have been proven to be faked, but some footprint evidence defies explanation. In November 1969, footprints believed to belong to a Bigfoot were discovered near Bossburg, Washington. Upon examination, the right foot was found to be deformed, the third toe either twisted or missing. The side of the foot showed signs of severe deformity, having 2 distinct lumps on its outer edge. Scientists believe that it would have been almost impossible to have faked these prints. Although thousands of footprints have been found, a Bigfoot has never been captured. How could this terror of the woods stay hidden for so long? The most common explanation centers around the area in which Bigfoot calls home. The Pacific Northwest is over 125,000 square miles of dense forest and rugged mountain terrain, with icy streams cutting through its valleys and gorges, an ideal hiding place for the elusive Bigfoot. Even if Bigfoot could avoid detection and capture, why aren't their remains found when they die? One theory is that the remains of any animal will not fossilize in the wet, acidic soil of the Pacific Northwest. The bones dissolve and just disappear. Another theory maintains that the Bigfoot monster buries its dead, but the real answer may lie in the natural order of the Pacific wilderness. Carnivorous animals such as coyote, wolf, bear, buzzard are known to completely devour the remains of any dead animal, leaving not a trace behind. However, the scientific community has recently been influenced by the abundance of reasonably reliable information that continue to be gathered and recorded. Myths about strange creatures seem to hold a never-ending fascination for the general public. Is Bigfoot just a figment of our imaginations? Perhaps it's just a complex hoax, or could the legend be genuine, just waiting to be revealed to us all? Until concrete physical evidence can be presented and verified, will there be no answer to the unsolved mystery of Bigfoot? Well, I think that sheds a little bit of light on this subject, and I think the most interesting is Leif Erikson's account. That certainly is interesting that over 1,000 years ago, there was still a report of a hairy, large creature. So there you have it. Bigfoot. Real or hoax? Or just Andre the Giant in a suit? Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.